The new Mahindra XUV400 Pro. Now, I just want to say something right at the start. Sometimes as creators and as journalists, we say things, but then there's always scope for improvement. And while all these top companies can correct things and make things even better, even I have a chance to stand corrected. And that's one line, your headline already, the XUV400 updated in 2024. I said a lot of things about it in 2023, but it looks like things have changed, and that's what we're going to be discussing on Tech Today. Now, we've been testing the XUV400 for a few days, and if you spotted us with this one on the road, the new 2024 edition, you'd say it looked exactly like the one we'd reviewed earlier, and I had certain thoughts about that, like I said earlier, because this looks very similar. But there are some things which were right, so you don't need to fix what's not broken. For instance, this is a very commanding presence on the road, and this copper top still really stands out. There's a sunroof that I'll show you in a bit, and all of this is housed on 16-inch alloy wheels, which sort of get the job done. Here is where your charging port opens up, but you see that copper branding and that badging goes on right till the end. But if you didn't spot the green number plate, how could you tell that this is an EV? And this is something I pointed out in my review of the earlier one. It looks like the badging has come in. So thank you to the team at Mahindra Electric, because now we know that this stands out as a proud electric vehicle. And the EV space is going to hot up in the next few weeks and months. And it's good to know that, well, this is one of the contenders in that particular battle. Have they actually made changes inside that I thought needed to be done? Well, let's find out. If you're trying to spot the differences from the previous XUV400, it all happens as soon as you step inside the car. Everything looks different. This honestly looks like a new car, from the badging right here to the fact that you have this really cool protruding 10.25-inch infotainment system with very smooth touch response. Yeah, you have practically everything working for you over here. You have, well, your radio, your drive statistics, really cool EV stats that show up over here as well. As you can see, this is the amount of time left to charge. This is how much of energy I've been consuming, and how we have around 147 kilometers left. In an ideal condition, this car can go all the way up to nearly 270 to 300 kilometers on a single charge if you're driving it in its three modes: fun, fast, and fearless. If you go for fearless, there's a lot of magic that can happen in that particular mode. I'll show it to you when we take it for a drive. But then you're obviously going to get lesser average on this one, and you'll get lesser range. So in terms of range anxiety, that hasn't changed much. The battery packs are pretty much the same like the previous one, nearly 40 kilowatts. But what really has changed is this particular cluster, and then this cluster right here, fully digital. Even the speedometer, this really now feels like an EV. Now, another thing that has changed is how they've really placed the gear knob right here, and wireless charging for your devices. A real boon, because you have a place to keep your phone as well, and everything looks really well put together. There's this dual tone with hints of copper out there, Mahindra badging, and all of this design, right? It really works on this new XUV400. Well, one thing which made the car feel a lot roomier was the sunroof. And although this is manual, you can obviously open up the sunroof. It's not something that you're meant to really stand out of, but you can, as long as you've not been having a lot of junk food. This is, well, a really nicely placed sunroof as well. You can close it, and honestly, it's as smooth as it gets. Now, while you have a very responsive and intuitive touchscreen, I also like that there are the basic bare minimum buttons right over here, steering mounted controls, cruise control as well in this particular EV, really making sure that all the tech and engineering is in place. Now, if you're talking about the ports, you have two USB-A ports here. This one is for charging. You can also connect to this system. It also happens wirelessly. And then you also have, with the rear AC vent, a USB-C charging port at the back. That means this is a car which now is also focused on the passengers. In the rear seat, you can be driven around in this incredibly refined Mahindra XUV400. Now, one thing which I was a little surprised with was the fact that it didn't automatically come with wireless Android Auto and CarPlay. That's something I've gotten very used to, and I believe that that is coming very soon with a software update. Now, while the car does come with this parking camera, it's not a 360-degree view, but one thing that I hope comes with a software update would be adaptive guidelines. It seems like that's something they are working on, but let's put the car in drive. And remember, there are drive modes here: fun, fast, and fearless. It's currently in fun mode, which is the equivalent of eco. Let's go into fast, right? Because that's something that I'm up for, because fearless is another story. Should we try fearless actually? Well, here you go. We're in fearless mode. All I can say is don't try this at home. The car just bolts out the minute you put it in fearless mode. And honestly, you need to be someone who's completely in control, because this can go from 0 to 100 in what, 8.5 seconds, and it's in fearless mode that you actually feel it. The car has a soft suspension, so you're not going to feel too many bumps. It's a very comfortable drive, even for someone in the rear seat. You're going to be losing a few kilometers of range, of course, because if you're in fearless mode and start from 0, you can hear the wheels spin if you just jam the accelerator, because that's the amount of power, and it's raring to go. A lot of torque, bucket loads of it, in fact, in the XUV400 Pro. The drive quality is refined, and I must say this, but you need to be in control of the wheel when you are in fearless mode. In fast, I think, is the ideal mode to drive this car in this city, so I'm going to put it in fast, because the braking is fine, the regen is in control. You're somewhere in between the eco mode and sport mode in fast mode. This is the normal mode, and like I said, very easy to drive. Even the turning radius, everything is in control and in check with the XUV400 Pro. An absolute pleasure to drive with the soft suspension. But yes, when you're on the highway and you're driving really fast, you can feel a little bit of the wobble. But again, it's really capable of producing all that power. So hold on to the steering wheel, wear your seat belts, and drive safely with the XUV400 Pro. So much to say about the XUV400, but you get the drift. A lot has changed on the inside, and in terms of the experience for a tech geek, that's what's changed. The design, well, all that tech on the inside of the car, like I said, improvements in every department, refinement, and I'll tell you why I use that term in terms of tech, in terms of safety, in terms of the look and feel. Everything feels refined in the XUV400 Pro. If I had to be really greedy, and of course the safety features are there and the tech is there, but if I was really nitpicking, I'd want ventilated seats. But you have to, in this review, give Mahindra, well, one more feature to add in the next XUV400 or whatever comes next in this lineup. But it is much improved. It is, well, tech geek paradise inside the XUV400 Pro. This particular car at this price point, between 15 to 17 lakh, seems like a very, very worthy contender to be one of the top EVs in that particular segment. All I can say is, we've reviewed the previous version. Now we've had this tech check of this version. The tech geeks called and Mahindra answered. That's about it on Tech Today.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.